My name is Karen Cohn, and I'm a graduate student at McDaniel College, and today, Thursday, June 9th, 2011, I will be interviewing Bob Durham of Finksburg, Maryland. Thank you, Bob, for allowing me into your lovely home and agreeing to this interview. I will start by asking you some background questions. Where were you born?
Born in Benicia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and where did you grow up?
Benicia, Pennsylvania.
So you grew up in Pennsylvania?
It's southwest of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Little town.
Okay, not far from Carroll County. What year were you born?
1933.
Okay. When did you move to Carroll County?
In 1960.
1960. What was it like when you came to Carroll County?
Carroll County was mostly a farm area, rural, very rural. 140 was in, but you could travel from Reisterstown to Westminster and never see a car. The only shopping center was Westminster Shopping Center. It was a co-op, and the department stores, most of the stores were on Main Street in Westminster.
Tell me a little bit about the co-op.
Co-op was a grocery store, pretty much like Food Line or any other grocery stores we have now, but that was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And on Main Street was most of the was a department store and most of the businesses. There's on Pennsylvania Avenue there was a farm all tractor store. There were two lumber companies. Smith and Reed Snyder where the fire company is now, and Schaefer Lumber Company, where Bel Air, I think it's Bel Air Block or Bel Air Stone there now. And it was pretty much rural.
What were some of the sights and sounds that you experienced? I know that you had mentioned to me before about how it was neat to drive up to the co-op. Can you? Oh
yeah, when you go to the co-op on Saturday, all the farmers would be there with their pickup trucks, and you could smell the manure on the trucks. That doesn't happen anymore.
Oh.
But it was very nice, very nice. But with growth in Carroll County, the two lumber companies have folded. They were both family owned. And there was a lumber company that we dealt with in Lineborough, Kopp Lumber Company. They're no longer there. They've closed up, mostly because of Home Depot and Lowe's.
Sure, that's true. Have you always lived in the house you're in now?
No, my goodness. We've when we moved here, we rented a house at Hillendale Farms. You know where the Hillendale trailer court is? Well, the big house there, with Mr. and Mrs. Lassiter owned it. We rented the small brick house beside it. And funny thing about it was, after we moved in, he says, "Where are you going to go to church?" I said, "Well, we haven't decided yet." He said, "Well, we go to Sandy Mountain. You might as well go there." So we went to Sandy Mountain Church. We got very active in the church.
Did you ride with them sometimes to church?
No. It's only right up the road from where we live. And well, like I say, we got very active in church. Sally was a volunteer secretary there for 10 years, and we built a new church. I was the building committee chairman, and we had a good time. We used to have dinners there every summer, and people come from all over Baltimore come to the dinners, and we worked in the dinners. It was a nice church.
Do you still belong to that?
Oh
church?
yeah, we still belong to it.
How old were your children when you moved to the house you're in now?
Our son, in this house.
Whatever. I mean.
When we moved here, our son was 2 years old, and our daughter wasn't born yet. We went back to Monongahela, and that's where she was born, in Pennsylvania, because Carroll County didn't have a hospital at that time.
Oh, so you drove all the way to Pennsylvania to have your daughter?
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
Yeah,
How far of a drive was that?
It's about 4 hours, I guess, 4 or 5 hours.
So Sally, your wife, had to be
She
be
stayed-
ready and know.
Well, she stayed with her mother and father,
Oh, okay.
and her father took her to the hospital in a Porsche. She could hardly get in or out.
And so you were down here
Yes.
at the time, and so you had to drive up to meet her at the hospital.
Right. Right.
And did you have your son with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that must have been a hurried drive.
Yeah, it was.
It was a long drive for that. So you said your son was 2, and then you had your daughter. How many years after that?
Well, about 3 years.
3 years later,
Mhm.
and then Sally and your daughter moved back down. And,
Well, as soon as she was born and was released from the hospital, she came back.
okay. And
Mhm.
so, were you still at the house
We were still
at Hillendale?
Yes, we were. Mhm.
And then where did you go?
Well, we bought a piece of ground over on Emerald Drive, it's outside of Sykesville,
Mm-hmm.
on Liberty Reservoir, and we built an LB home. And LB was a company that was located in Ohio, and when we went to them and talked to them, they said that they would give us the final mortgage on it. But after we had it built, they declined. They wouldn't do that.
Mm.
And so we went to the bank, and Mr. Wance was president of Union National Bank at that time. And there was a branch bank down in Finksburg, and Joe Beaver was a manager of that. We went to him, and he said, well, let me talk to the manager. And so in a couple of days, we met with Mr. Wance. He came over, and he said, looked at the house, and we were there working, and he says, sweat equity is good, and gave us a loan.
That's nice.
And we lived there for a few years, and then I built houses besides teaching school. I guess I've built, I don't know, 20 houses or so in Carroll County.
Wow.
And we went from there, and we built a house over in Bethel Ridge, and we lived there for a few years. I built 2 houses over there, and then we moved here and built the house that Carter lives in, and then we built this house, and then I've built several houses since then.
So how long have you lived in this home that you're in now?
We've been here, what, about 20 years, I guess, something
Wow,
like that.
that's great.
I'm not good with dates, I don't know.
That's okay. Okay, so Bob, you've been a teacher for many years. How many years did you teach?
I taught 30 years, 20 of those down at Franklin Senior High School, grades 9 through 12. And I taught industrial arts, woodworking, architectural drawing, and machine drawing. And then I taught in a school over in Essex. It was Battle Monument School and Eastwood Center. And I was in Eastwood Center, which was a high school part. And it was for physically and mentally handicapped kids, and I taught there for 10 years. And I taught woodworking and a little bit of drawing, and our biggest project, I'd have 12 kids at a time, and our biggest project was making crab mouths. We probably made crab mouths for every restaurant in Baltimore.
Did you sell your pieces to these restaurants?
Yeah.
So you made money for the
we
school?
made enough money that every year we took the kids on a trip.
Oh.
And but a crab mouth, you know what a crab mouth is, and we had to divide it up in 12 different jobs to make a crab mouth, and we made thousands of them. And then we made picnic tables and outdoor chairs and that kind of thing. So
It's a valuable skill to learn.
so well, they enjoyed it. I don't know if they learned much, but they enjoyed it.
Well, I think it is a valuable skill. That the skill is starting to wane now in
Yeah.
public schools.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. What are some of the changes you remember about the school environment where you taught during the 1960s and 70s?
You know, there weren't too many changes, I don't think. The biggest change was when Madeline Murray, she got We used to on the PA system, they would read a Bible verse every morning and have pledge allegiance to the flag. And she got the Bible out of the schools. And shortly after that, they didn't have to say the pledge if they didn't want to. They could sit at their. They didn't have to stand up and pledge if they didn't want to do it. They could just sit at their chair. And from that time on, you could see the schools going downhill. Discipline became worse. I had kids that would wear flags on their back of their pants and sit on the flag all day long.
Wow.
So I think that was one of the worst things that happened in the school. Now that was in the senior high school. We didn't have that with the physically and mentally handicapped. Those kids, remember I'm teaching industrial arts, those kids really had very limited abilities, but boy, they give you 100% of it. But the other kids, they were just there to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the civil rights movement affect the teaching environment?
I really didn't see any effect where I was at all. In the high school where I had only had two black kids that I taught, and didn't have, they were fine. I didn't have any problem with them. When I moved to the special ed school, I had an aide, which is a black fellow, and he was outstanding. So I really didn't have any effect with that.
So you worked directly with the aide that you had.
Yeah, the aide come in, and every teacher had an aide that come in and help, and of course with what we were doing, with those kids, with saws and drill presses and all that stuff, we needed somebody to be there with them to help them.
Sure.
Keep them safe.
What were some of the things that you may have noticed that changed in Carroll County from when you moved here in the 1960s to now?
Well, I think Carroll County became a bedroom community. There's a lot of people that live here and work in Baltimore, and farms started to diminish. Farmers started growing houses instead of corn. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a big change. And of course then the other box stores come in, and that's what put the lumber companies out of business and put some of the grocery stores out of business. And, and of course the tractor place in Westminster went out of business. It was a Farmall tractor. So
and the co-op disappeared.
Co-op disappeared, but just another grocery store went in there. So.
Did you ever witness any discrimination, can you recall, while you were shopping, or anything that bothered you that didn't seem right to someone of another race?
Yeah, I never noticed that in shopping or anything, but when I was building houses, I built two houses over in Bethel Ridge, and I was having some lumber delivered from the store, and I can't remember the name of the place, a lumber company in Frederick, and there was a black man that delivered it. And usually about 10 o'clock I would go out and get coffee and donuts for the guys who were working for me. And I remember he delivered the load of lumber, and we were having our coffee break, and I just handed him the bag of donuts and said, take a donut. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't take it. I said, come on, take a donut. It doesn't rub off. And he did.
He did. Well, that's good. He probably wasn't used to that.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the construction of Highway 795 change Carroll in your eyes?
Oh my goodness, that opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
And people started. They built that when they did build it. They were talking about that was going to really relieve the pressure off of Reisterstown Road, and it did. But not anymore. There's as much traffic on Reisterstown Road now as there was before they ever built it. But of course, the other road now has got a lot of traffic on it too. But that really opened up Carroll County, and a lot of building going on in Carroll County, and not many farmers anymore. We have a friend who is a farmer down here on Old Westminster Pike. He owns ground that borders both sides of 140, and he does a little farming, but not like it used to be, you know. And I think most of the farms have gone that way in Carroll County.
It's a shame.
So 140, I guess, was good, and it brought more people in, but it also destroyed the life of some people, farmers particularly.
Yeah. Did it improve your quality of life, or did it make it more difficult?
The only way it improved it is makes it easier to
Get from one
get
place.
one place to the other, but and I'm not even sure that that's an improvement, because it's really not safe to be on 140 anymore, the way traffic is. And speed limit doesn't mean anything anymore. People are terrible drivers. So, other than moving traffic, I think that's the only improvement.
Yeah. Well,
Brought a lot of people into the county, that's all. And also 140 and 795, we travel back to Pittsburgh every once in a while, and we usually leave here, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the morning. And there is a steady stream of cars from Gettysburg down to Westminster and down 140 that time in the morning. And they're all going to work somewhere down here in Maryland. So it just brought more people in also.
well,
Okay. Of course, everybody has a right to be where they want to be.
that's right.
So,
Well, I want to thank you again for allowing me to come into your home and to interview you for the Carroll County History Project. You've been very helpful.
well, thank you.